Hello and welcome back to Hot and Dash Films, a place where you come to learn about photography, videography, and all things RC. Today I'll be showing you how to oil up your rear differential for your Traxxas Slash, Stampede, or 4-wheel drive. Okay, so all you have to do first is just take your oil and put it in little by little and move the gears around to move all the oil to make sure that it's reaching all those places in there, and then you're going to put more oil in there and rinse and repeat. The next thing you need to do is take your planetary gear with your rubber seal on and put it into the top of the diff. Okay, take your gasket and put it carefully on top of the actual diff housing itself and make sure you line up perfectly. Okay, now it's time to do the same for the top of the diff as well with the gasket. Okay, so with your gasket installed, next thing you need to do is put the screws into the top of the diff and make sure you put it in a star pattern from corner to corner to corner to corner. Okay, now it's time to take your bearings, put the small one on the front, and take your big one and put it on the rear. Next, take your third bearing and insert it into the diff housing itself. Make sure it locks in place with a snap. Okay, now it's time to put the diff back in the housing, starting with putting the planetary gear that connects in the drive shaft into the housing itself. Okay, now take your diff gear and place it inside the diff housing, and it should be able to spin freely with no restrictions. Next, take your red tacky and put it on the gears, making sure you're getting in between the teeth itself as well. Okay, with it all greased up, now all you have to do is take the top of the housing and put it together, and it should click in place. The next thing you need to do is take your completed diff and put the bottom of it on, and that is held on by 4 different screws on the bottom itself. Next thing you need to do is attach the shock tower, and that's held on by 4 screws. Okay, with all 4 screws put in place for the shock tower, next thing you need to do is attach your rear CVDs. Okay, so when you're attaching the rear CVDs, it's important to note that you do not lose the rear grub screws, and to make sure that you do not over tighten the screws as well, because that will lead to them actually falling off and not being very stable. Okay, with your CVDs attached, now it's time to put the pins in your A-arms and attach those as well on the back. Okay, once you put the blue plate on the back of it, holding the A-arms in place, now it's time to put the rear bumper on, and that is held on by 5 different screws. Okay, so with your rear bumper attached, next is to install your camber linkage in the rear. Okay, so with your rear camber linkage installed, now it's time to attach your shocks to the rear of the car. Okay, so with your shocks installed, all the thing left to do is to put the whole thing back on the back of the car, and that's held on by 4 different screws, 2 on top and 2 on the bottom. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to watch it. I hope that it helped you out. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and check out my Patreon as well. Again, I'm Taylor Tommila, and don't forget to have fun bashing and crashing.